Have you ever wondered what really happens in a cemetery after the gates close? I'm a gravedigger, and on my very first day they gave me a list of rules. Rules that make no sense. Rules that sound like madness. But after what I witnessed on my first night, I know that following them is the only thing keeping me alive. And rule number 5, that's the one that still keeps me awake to this day. Most people imagine a cemetery as a quiet place, a silent field of stone where the world slows down. But at night, when the moon rises above cracked mausoleums and the wind snakes through the trees, the cemetery becomes something else entirely. Darkness moves differently there. Sounds echo without a source. And the dead, well, sometimes the dead are not the scariest thing waiting in the shadows. I had taken the job because I was desperate. I needed money, and solitude didn't scare me. I actually thought spending nights alone among the graves would be peaceful, a perfect escape from the noise of the city. The job listing was simple: night watchman for the municipal cemetery, above average pay, discretion required. I didn't question what discretion meant. Maybe I should have. On my first day, the caretaker, an elderly man named Jonas with trembling hands and eyes that looked 20 years older than the rest of him, met me at the gate. Without a word, he handed me a ring of old iron keys and a yellowed sheet of paper. It felt brittle in my hands, like it had been folded and unfolded 1,000 times. "Read this carefully, boy," Jonas said, still avoiding eye contact. "Your life depends on it." I chuckled, thinking he meant it metaphorically. A dramatic warning from a man who'd spent too much time alone. But when I unfolded that sheet and read the handwritten rules, the smile died on my lips. And now, after surviving the things I've seen, I can still recite those rules from memory, as clearly as if they were carved into stone. Rule 1. If you hear someone calling your name, no matter how familiar the voice sounds, ignore it. It was around 2 in the morning during my first shift when I heard it. I was walking through the oldest part of the cemetery, where the graves are cracked and slanted, and the headstones lean forward like they're eavesdropping. The air was colder there, unnaturally cold. That's when I heard the voice. "Marcos," I froze. It was my mother's voice. But my mother had been dead for 5 years. She was buried less than 50 meters from where I stood. "Marcos, son, help me." My heart clenched in my chest. Every instinct told me to turn around, to run to her, to see her. Grief has a strange way of pulling you toward the impossible, but the rule hammered in my skull. I squeezed my eyes shut and forced myself to keep walking forward. The voice followed me. "Ungrateful son," it whispered right behind me. So close I felt warm breath tickle the back of my neck. I didn't look. I didn't run. I simply walked until the voice dissolved into the wind. Only then did I start breathing again. Rule 2. Keep a distance of 10 meters from the angel statues. Do not blink. This one seemed ridiculous to me. What harm could a stone angel do? But that night, as I passed the Alencar mausoleum, I saw the statue, an angel kneeling, carved tears streaming down her cheeks. Under the moonlight, the statue looked heartbreakingly alive, her wings stretching behind her like a frozen sigh. I remembered the rule, so I stopped. I stayed back, but human curiosity is a curse. I stepped closer, 5 meters, 4. Then I stopped and stared at the details of her expression. I don't know what possessed me, but I blinked. When my eyes opened, the angel's head had turned toward me. The stone tears were gone. Her mouth was twisted into a predatory grin, and her hollow eyes locked straight onto mine. I stumbled backward, tripping over fallen leaves, and ran as fast as I could without daring to blink again. Only when I was far enough away did the oppressive pressure on my back lighten, as if her gaze finally released me. Rule 3. If the chapel bell rings, hide in an open grave. Remain there until the sound stops. The chapel has been abandoned for decades. Its roof collapsed, its walls cracked, the door sealed with thick planks of wood, But at exactly 3:33 a.m., a deafening metallic clang echoed through the cemetery. The bell had rung. Fear surged through me so violently, my legs nearly gave out. I didn't think, I just ran. I knew where an open grave had been prepared earlier that day. I leapt into it, the smell of damp soil and decay clawing at my throat. I curled into a ball, hugging myself as the bell continued to ring. Then I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, dragging. They circled the grave, over and over. The sound of something breathing, wet, ragged breaths, drifted down to me, and then a laugh, a cold, hollow laugh that didn't belong to anything human. The ringing stopped abruptly, but I didn't move. I waited and waited until the first hint of dawn tinted the sky before I dared climb out. When I stood, I noticed fresh footprints in the mud around the grave. Long, clawed and deep. Rule 4. Use only the provided flashlight. Other lights attract unwanted attention. My flashlight started flickering around 4 a.m. At first, I brushed it off. Batteries die, equipment fails. But I had brought a backup, a powerful LED flashlight I trusted. So, without thinking, I took it out and switched it on. The entire atmosphere changed instantly. The crickets stopped. The wind cut off, as if someone had muted the world. Even my breathing sounded wrong in the sudden, suffocating stillness. And then I saw them. Shadows. Dozens of them, stretching across tombstones, sliding along mausoleum walls, never fully visible, but always on the edge of my sight. They moved with unnatural sharpness, and every single one of them turned toward me, as if the beam of my flashlight was calling their names. Panic exploded in my chest. I turned off the LED as fast as I could. The shadows froze. They did not withdraw, but they stopped advancing. When I turned back on the weak, flickering original flashlight, the world exhaled again. The crickets resumed. The wind rustled the leaves, but the shadows remained still in the distance, watching. I didn't leave the cabin again until sunrise. Rule 5. Near dawn, a man in a black coat will knock at the gate. He will beg to be let in. Do not open. Around 40 minutes before sunrise, the knocking began, violent, desperate pounding against the iron gate. I checked the old security monitor. A tall man wearing a long black coat and a hat stood outside. His shoulders were hunched, his hands shaking. He kept turning back toward the road as if something was chasing him. "Please," he shouted. "Please let me in. They're coming. You don't understand." His screams were soaked in fear. He offered money, then a gold watch. Then he dropped to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Something inside me, some fragile part still clinging to empathy, pulled me toward the gate. My hand touched the lever. Then I noticed what the camera didn't show directly. In the reflection of a puddle near his feet, his face was visible, but he had no face. Just a smooth surface of pale skin and two burning red points where eyes should have been. I stepped back from the gate immediately. As the first ray of sunlight crept across the iron bars, he stopped crying. Slowly his head lifted toward the light, and he smiled, a wide, unnatural smile. Then he evaporated, disintegrating into a cloud of dark smoke that vanished in the morning breeze. I quit the job the very next day. Jonas didn't question me. He simply nodded and said, "Most don't last the next single night. You followed the rules. That's the only reason you're standing here. I've never returned to that place. But the cemetery hasn't fully let go of the cemetery. But the cemetery hasn't fully let go of me. Sometimes lang late night, I'd still hear my mother's voice calling my name. Sometimes from behind the door, and some behind like calling my name. Sometimes from behind the corner of the dark room." To emerge from the corner of a dark room, I never answer, because now I know the truth. Some things pretend to be the people we miss, And the moment you respond, you open a door that cannot be closed again. If you survive this night with me, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. And tell me in the comments, which rule do you think you would fail first? I read every single comment. Stay safe on your way home.